it do, everybody? It's your boy King Crowder back again with another edition of History You May Not Know and Things That Are Not Taught in Detail for Sure. Today's lesson, I will be focusing on the great Jones family in Chicago who spurred the abolitionist movement. Mary Richardson, formerly known as Jones, her and her husband were both born American abolitionists, philanthropists, and suffrage. They were both born to free blacks in Tennessee. Most people do not realize that all blacks in the South were not enslaved. They were born and moved to Illinois during her teenage year along with her husband. After her husband's death, Jones' family began to get more active in pursuing that area. But let's go back to the beginning. Mary Jones was born in Memphis, Tennessee, to a free family. Her father was a blacksmith, and her mother was a seamstress. In the 1830s, Richardson's family moved to Alton in Madison County, Illinois, as a teenager when she witnessed riots from the surrounding murder of Elijah Parrish Lovejoy, an anti-slave newspaper. Lovejoy's funeral passed by Richardson's father's house and envisioned that she vividly remembered and inspired her to this day. In 1841, Richardson married John Jones, taking on his surname. He was a freed black originally from North Carolina. Jones first met her, remember, in Tennessee. They both moved to Alton, Illinois because of the love story and they were in love with each other. You must understand this young family began to grow as they began to get sparred up in the abolitionist movement. They moved to the city of Chicago with the equivalent of only $100 in their pocket. They pawned whatever they could afford and did whatever they could to get a job and get an apartment, a traditional love story, as we like to call it, a IKEA marriage. Jones became a small community black American in Chicago, composing of only 150 people. Along with 3 women, Jones became a leader in the African Methodist Episcopal Church. While Jones' tailoring business proposed, Jones managed to get his center block in the Anti-Slave Act. You must remember, they were resistant to the slave code and the fugitive things that were going on. People might not know, but John Jones was a prominent leader with Frederick Douglass. As I said in the last video, Frederick Douglass was in cahoots with everybody, one of our founding fathers. Frederick Douglass introduced John Jones to John Brown. John Brown was wowed by Jones's demeanor, the way he spoke, and how he recalled later events. You must understand that Jones and Brown began to get really close. Together, Jones even assisted in helping free blacks escape from North Carolina to Canada. Jones, he and his wife were very predominant as abolitionists. They were the main ones making Chicago a hub point in the Underground Railroad. It was photos taken by the College of Institutes about this family just based on the milestones they did. John Jones and his family had strong convictions and abilities. They worked hard for enslaved Americans at this time who were not treated fairly. John Jones was the first ever black man that was commissioned to public office in Illinois. The same year, the Great Chicago destroyed Jones' family business and his home. Remember, his business was burned down due to social segregation, and that year it was burned down, it was worth $85,000, equivalent to $1.9 million today. His family was required to rebuild from scratch. John's tailoring business was restarted in a new location, and he continued working until he retired in 1873. John worked until Bright disease took his life. John's independent wealth and his estate was valued at over $70,000, which is equivalent to $2 million, which was the richest man in the city. Think about it. He was an enslaved former man from Tennessee who moved to Chicago being self-made and repaired his tailoring business equitable to $2 million. You must understand that Johnson's whole reflect a social hierarchy and economic status that a free black man was not thought of to have in this country. The great fires that happened really jeopardized John Jones and his family's wealth. However, upon Mrs. Jones dying, she dedicated her fortune to philanthropy and activism. She continued to work in the Phyllis Wheatley book club. Phyllis Wheatley, a great writer that wrote about the stories in the South, which is a high school they have in Houston. Jones was not quick to the suffrage, Black women at this time used their voice to speak on the injustice as far as lynching and different things that was going on in the South. You must understand that Black Chicagoans had support from the number one surgeon that we will talk about later, named Daniel Hale Williams. He also was a support system and different lead points on how to make Black Americans at this time receive the same amount of freedom. You must understand that the wife died later on December 26th, 1909. She was loved and admired by everyone at the ripe old age of 89. She gave her wealth away. She led the Chicago youth, park, and memorabilia, and she is one of the greatest fixtures and landmarks on the city of Chicago to this day. The Jones families are icons that saved thousands of slaves, enslaved people from the South to produce freedom in Canada, outside of the black codes and the other rejections they had as a social norm. All I gotta say, y'all, is this story is incredible, and there's many around the country that I'm gonna highlight to you this year. It's your boy King Crowder checking back out. Please, I hope you learned something today. Please make sure you comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. Hopefully this information was new, present, and detailed to you. Hopefully you can learn something and add to your repertoire. Keep checking out again, y'all. Peace.